Hi everyone.
Hello.
My name is Kola Olasimbo, and this is our first episode of podcast, Making the Right Move. With me, I have my wife Tinuke Olasimbo, Tinu Olasimbo for short, and Kayode Adekoya. I'm a mortgage agent. Tinuke is a real estate agent. Kayode is also a real estate agent, and we've come together as a group to put this podcast out there because we just have always talked about being able to reach out to our community and more, and be able to share our views, our ideas, basically behind real estate, making the right move in the real estate market, and being able to grow financial wealth and stability through real estate. There's a lot of channels out there in which people can use to create wealth and financial stability for themselves. But one guaranteed option out there that we know for sure is real and works for just anybody in any part of the world is real estate, which is why we've come together to start this podcast. You're all welcome. We thank you. We hope to be able to have your support for days to come. We tentatively we're supposed to be going in, coming on live at 1 p.m. every Sunday. We will definitely be posting our updates and schedule and things like that. Thank you very much. Today we're going to have a special guest for you guys that's going to be talking about living a fulfilled life, right? We will be asking him some certain questions just to kind of get a feel of how he's gotten to where he is today, how his life has been, and things like that. Thank you very much. I'll let Tinuke and Kairi also speak and introduce themselves. Thank you.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Tinu, for short, Tinuke, Tinuke, whatever you're comfortable with. Olasimbo, and I'm a realtor, and we're happy to be doing this podcast. And like Kola said, just sharing our wealth of experience, knowledge with regards to real estate, buying, selling, flipping, investing in properties. For generations and for decades, we know that ownership has been one of the greatest source of wealth for individuals in the world. So we just want to encourage people to invest. I'm going to be introducing Chief Bailey, who is our special guest today. He is a retired police officer of 30 years and has turned into a personal development expert. Um, he's well versed in the famous business Bible Think and Grow Rich, and he's one of the co-founders of the High Five Club and Landed for Success. So we have Chief Bailey here today. He's going to share with us his wealth of knowledge, passion,
Yes.
coaching, and guiding individuals towards success. So we'd like to welcome Chief Bailey to the stage.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope
Good,
today
good, good.
Good, thank you.
How are you?
I am doing fantastic. You-
That's great to see. We can see you outdoors today.
Well, here it is. This is something funny. Is that today I was invited to speak at a health and wealth convention,
Right.
and they told me at the last minute, like 9:30 last night.
Wow. Talk about short notice.
You know, they could have waited till today. But I am here at a health and wellness in Phoenix, Queen Creek, Arizona, and it's an amazing event when you have a chance to get here and you become one of the keynote speakers. So I've always told you all about the retired life. Let me tell you,
Right.
my retired life is amazing. I just don't know where the retirement came in. So so how is everybody? What's going on this beautiful day?
Yeah, we're doing well. We're good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. This is our first podcast, and we're really excited about being able to unpack the topic that we picked for today.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically living a fulfilled life, and
Good.
so we hope to dissect different aspects of that with you. So we're excited.
Please.
You know,
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I am ready. Let's go. Let's have some fun here today.
Excellent.
Yes,
Let's go.
excellent.
Let's go. So, do you want to go first, or do you want
Yes.
to?
So I guess for this is our first podcast. We have a lot of guests who might not know who you are. So to begin with, I would like to ask you to just introduce yourself in a few minutes. Let's know a little bit more about who Chief Billy is and why you're so important to our generation and preaching living a fulfilled life.
You know, first of all, my name is Chief Lester Bailey, and I am I am that person that everybody once thought it never would happen to me. I'm that person that worked in the field of retail sales when I first began my life. During high school and after high school, I left that to become a banker and to become a manager at a bank. Left that job because it left me. It moved to a different city, and I stayed in the same place. I was living in Chicago, Illinois, and it moved to New York City.
Right.
And I was like, wow. So I pivoted from there and became a police officer, and a job in which I never really sought after, but it became one of my callings of life. It became that thing that you never know what you're going to be put in a situation, and always make the best out of them. Don't be afraid to go into something that you have no idea about, something that you weren't trained for, something that you didn't seek. But I learned to go after that one thing that was calling me. So it became my calling. It gave me an opportunity to meet people all over the world. And I thought it was just going to be a meet in the city. And I left that job. I left that career. I shouldn't call it a job. I left that career, and I started on my career of personal development, something that I had been passionate about since the age of 21. I knew that I was ready to live a new life, and finding out what was that thing that would keep me awake? How would I be able to teach my family, my friends, and children alike? We were all once a child, we know a child or know somebody who's been a child. And I wanted to get in contact with them and let them see the direction of life. What would make your life a little bit different? And I will always tell people, challenge yourself. See what you think that you can't do and try it. And if it doesn't work, you get another opportunity to try something else. So that's a little bit about me in a kind of a small nutshell. I know you all have more questions, so I'm ready.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good. Um, so I've got another question for you.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, how do you stay inspired? How do you keep going? Because you oftentimes have, you just mentioned this morning that you were invited to a place to give a speech,
Hmm.
and you're also being invited onto our show here, to also be, a special guest on our podcast, and we want to benefit from the wealth of experience that you have. But how do you, Chief Lester Bailey, how do you stay inspired? How do you keep going? You know, yeah.
Well, that's easy. If you look at your life, life is all around you. If you listen to my background, you hear the birds singing, and you hear, just actually life going around. If you stand still and do nothing, you get exactly what you're looking for. You get nothing. But what happens when you move into a situation, or you move into another area that says, you know what, this is worth seeing because I'm not going to miss out on this life. You know, we know that life is really, really short. I met a gentleman years ago by the name of Minister Louis Farrakhan,
Wow.
and and I sat in I sat in his house. I sat at his kitchen table, and he turned around. He had furniture from the 1500s in his house, and I
Wow.
sat on that furniture, and it gave me a perspective of how short life is. And that's what, if you look at what really kind of pushed me, when I look at furniture from the 1500s, I mean, we're talking 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. Now we're in the 20th century. And it's like, you don't live any time. Even if
Yeah.
you made it to 100 years of age, which is older than most, but you still have only lived a blink of an eye. So how much do you want to do in your life that you can't fit into your life? You
Wow.
can't fit every moment into your life, but how much of your life do you want to live? If you want to inspire yourself, do something that's out of your comfort zone. And
Okay.
always push yourself to do it. It's okay. I like when you ask me the question, what inspires me? It's trying to see if it's possible.
Right.
And because I always believe everything is possible, well, let me find out how much is possible for me, and I'll and I'll go from there. So that's what inspires me.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good.
That's an inspiring
That's
answer.
wow. So, Chief, just another quick question.
Sure.
What advice would you give a young person just starting out life, like coming out of high school, university, somebody that is just actually coming out into the real world, let me say,
Mhm.
the adult world? What advice would you give such people?
It first, we'll go back to the book They Can Grow Rich, and it says it talks about your desire. Always remember as that child, as I sat up there and I always, dreamt. I always sat back there and thought of all the things that I would do. I knew what direction I was going into, but because I never really had a target, I end up just kind of swaying about and not thinking that it could be real. And I want to tell everybody, every student, or someone young, or you're just, some that are young at heart, that dream that you're actually looking for has been waiting for you, and you have to be able to take the time out to go after it. We always look at saying, well, you were good in school or you were that person, and it's like the truth of it is that anything that you have been looking for has been sitting in your heart since the day that you were born. You never knew what that thing was that was going to tell you, I have to do this, or I want to do this. I remember being in high school, and I was always involved in music. I love music, and that's one of my passions of life. I've learned how to play 14 different instruments well. not,
Wow,
not,
that's impressive.
Wow.
not just do it. And I went to school to, as part of what I was in college for, because I wanted to see how far I can go with my music business. My best friend was in a band, and I always wanted to be in the band. I just knew I was going to be in it because I was a percussionist,
Right.
and people didn't pick me. They're like, I want this other person, I want that other person. And I was like, man, I'll never get my dream to play in a band. So what I did, I pivoted to the next spot. And I kept doing that because what's actually looking for you, you know, you have to look for it too. It's a 50-50 response. So I tell the child, try to find out what your passion is. What is your desire? What is that dream that you had that was only given to you? Some people think I'm going to be a doctor. Some other people think that they're going to be the artist. Some other persons will think like there was a actor dancer called Gregory Hines. And as a kid, Gregory Hines never wanted to dance. Never wanted to dance. But what happened, his brother wanted to dance. And he started dancing with his brother, and his enjoyment came from what he was doing with his brother, not just from the dance. He just
Wow.
happened to be one of the best.
Wow.
So, in response to, always, go after that thing, especially when you're young. You can fail 1,000 times and get up.
Right. Right. Right.
So, go
That,
ahead.
that's an interesting point that you made because there's a friend of mine who would always say that if you go through an experience and you don't succeed, you have failed forward, right? That's
Hmm.
basically you learning one new way of not trying to do that thing you are attempting to do.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you said that if you fail at something, you just have to keep going until you achieve that thing that you're trying to go after. And
Yes.
you also made a point about being able to pivot,
Hmm.
move from, say for example, you're attempting to do one particular thing, and it just keeps not working out. You may decide to try something else.
as opposed to being fixated on that particular thing only. The important thing is to have a goal. You know.
I like how you say that, and I'm going to kind of interrupt it for a moment. But when we look at that thing that we really want in our lifetime, and
Right.
we are so afraid of failing, and some of us make the mistake and concentrate on the failure instead of concentrating on the one step that was the success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have a statement that I live for. Make your stepping stones your building blocks. And when you're
Yeah.
looking at how do I build on a success, when I go back to the story of Think and Grow Rich, and the guy by the name of Thomas Edison, wanted to make a light, a nice little light bulb, condensing light bulb, something that we take for granted today. And when he first started on that dream, he failed.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's what everybody else thought.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
most of us, when we fail on something, we turn around and look at it. How many times will we be willing to fail at something before we give up? Thomas Edison looked at that light bulb and says, that first time, I'll make something new out of it. And then he failed, excuse me, he failed another 100 of times. I'm going to go back and forth with this.
Yeah.
And most people would never try to do 100 times at something and look and say, have I failed? When should I give up?
Right.
Yeah.
I always think you should give up when you know that you succeeded.
Yeah.
That's when you give up, when you succeed.
Yes.
So Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times, 5,000 times, and he never gave up. How many of us really are really happy that he said, I'll do something else?
Hmm.
Finally, when he got to 9,999 times of trying, he actually succeeded on his 10,000th try. And when people walked up to him and said to him, how can you do this? You failed 9,999 times.
Wow.
And Thomas Edison looked at him and says, no, I just found 9,999 times to do something that would not work real well.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
not my failure. I found out a different way to make good things out of the things that happen on my way. It's your journey. It's not your destination. It's your
That's right.
journey is when you find out your success in life.
That's right. That's right.
It's, it's so interesting, and I'm smiling so hard because this is almost like a passion for me. Because I do have so many. I can talk out of my own experience. I've been
Hmm.
wanting to do so many different things. I get interested in so many different things at different times. So I understand how people get interested in something, try it out, and you're like, oh no, maybe this is not for me. Let me do something else. And then other people are outside looking at you like, why are you doing so many different things? But it's encouraging to know that you can, in the process of trying different things, find what works for you and keep
Hmm.
at it. So the whole topic of pivoting, trying out things, being consistent, continuous and deliberate in the things that you do is very interesting to me. And I'm happy
Yes.
to hear a professional like yourself with a wealth of experience talk about it as well. I feel like it's a topic we can have on its
Oh, that's
own
all right.
because I'm sure there's so many other people out there who feel that the same way. Like I'm doing so many things, I haven't really quite found my passion, and I'm getting discouraged.
Exactly.
But it's just to tell you, keep going. Don't get discouraged. Don't don't look down on yourself. Just keep pushing at it till you find that one thing that sticks.
And I hope I don't lose you here. When you're looking for your passion,
Right.
keep looking. It's so much fun. The interim of it. How many of you all got on a bike for the first time in your lifetime and fell?
Yeah.
Right.
Most of us, if not all of us.
Everybody.
Everybody. Excuse me.
I look at a baby. I wanted to show you all something way in my background here because there's a stage. I don't know if you can see the stage behind me that
Yeah.
I'll be speaking on, and they're playing music, and they have two top bands that are going to be there today. So, but when you're looking at a baby has the most beautiful life. A baby comes into this world not knowing how to talk or walk, and yet a baby succeeds because the baby never believes that he or she can't do it. They look at that life, they fall down, they cry. Some fall down, they get back up. Some fall down and they stay down. Some fall and they're they sit there and they start laughing. And they'll just laugh crazy because it was funny to them that they did not succeed. But it's how you see yourself. If a baby doesn't see the failure, why should you pay attention to the failure?
Right.
Right.
We look at the life the wrong way because it's like learning a language. When I had to learn how to speak an American language, I never thought that I would have to learn how to speak French or Spanish. And yet it became a part of my job in which I had to do it. And I looked at it, as a police officer, when you're working in different neighborhoods, you never know what language that they speak. So you have to learn that language.
Yeah.
So, I accidentally had to learn Chinese, Mandarin Chinese.
Wow.
And it's like,
Wow.
this is a person that wasn't born in a different country. Americans, have a certain way of looking at themselves to think that they're number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it
I,
works for them. It kind of works for them, right? At least to some extent, though. Yeah. You know.
but when you look at the world is much bigger than your neighborhood, your life is much bigger than what you see. Then you learn that step out of your comfort zone. I know that comfort zone feels well, but it's like you were never born to be a tree. You were born to move out and spread out. When you plant a tree, it looks so beautiful because you only see one little stick standing in the air. But if a tree falls, you see how many branches are underneath that you never look at. But that means you should be able to continue to grow because that tree branch doesn't grow in one spot. It grows all the way out and actually spawns other trees. So that's, I just look at life a little different than other people, I guess. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You all had questions for me.
So, well, I have a leading question to what we've been talking about, and
Sure.
I feel like dealing with relationships kind of
Hmm.
sort of intertwines with our discussion right now.
Hmm.
So, I guess my question to you would be, how important are relationships? Because I'm sure you've had so many different careers that you've been involved with. You're going to need people at some point to help direct a path that you're on, whatever it is. So
Hmm.
how would you rate having relationships and how important it is to foster good relationships with people as you go along your journey in life?
You know, I always say people don't come into your life by accident. Everybody comes into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it's how you foster those, how you connect with other people from all over. And I believe relationships are really, really important because I may only know you for a day today, but you may see me in 10 years. And I've said something to you that changed your life. And then all of a sudden, you get about to tell me something that will change my life. So I always love relationships because to me, they're so important, even when you don't think that they are, because you mean something to everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, it speaks to our experience here with you today. We might even get a chance of meeting a certain gentleman with a last name called Smith, right? And this is this is based off the relationship that we kind of have with you now. So that's really powerful. And obviously, speaking about relationships, you know, this interaction with us came about through an existing relationship. Yes, a relationship that we established with Gordon, and now we met you, and now we're interviewing you, and that's how relationships work.
Yes. When you met Dr. Gordon So, he came up with the biggest smile. And the first question that he asked you is, what is your purpose of life? He wanted to get to know who you were before and get to know who you actually were before he ever told you about himself. He wanted to be able to spark that relationship to see, are you interested in? How can I assist you in growing your life? What can I do for you? And that's one of the most genuine people that I've ever met in my life because Gordon sees people as they are, as life, and he doesn't see people as something that's in his way.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So
That's
that
right.
relationship there was phenomenal. And I don't know if you all know this, But one of the funniest things about Gordon, I met Gordon through a friend, like anybody else. He asked me to go pick him up from the airport in
Okay.
Chicago. I went to pick Gordon up from the airport in Chicago, and we've been friends since 2013.
Wow.
Just because I went to go and pick him up, and we've been having this conversation and doing things for quite some time now.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Go ahead. Don't pay
Yeah.
attention to him singing in the background.
Um,
Trust me, it won't be me.
The song sounds beautiful.
We'd like you to tell us about a challenging time in your life and how you were able to overcome that challenge.
I didn't hear the first part of that question.
Sorry, I said we'd like you to tell us about a challenging time in your life. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. I said we'd like you to tell us about a challenging time in your life and how you were able to overcome that challenge, that time of.
I like how you say that. As a police officer, I've had plenty of challenging times of my life.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
And a lot of things, because I'm always forward thinking. I really am really forward thinking. For your audience, I'll tell you about one of the times that was considered to be one of my worst days, but never for me. Okay, because it happened, and I lived in the moment of that time. I was working as a Chicago police officer, and my partner at the time, her and I decided that she wanted to move on to try some new things because I had been a part of so many different areas of life. And she wanted to see what her new area of policing would be. So we gave each other a nice little hug, on this way. We were getting ready to, we were leaving the job to go home. And I gave her a hug and I sang a song from Carol Burnett saying, "I'm so glad we had this time
Oh,
together."
how sweet.
And I jumped into my car and I was headed home. And as I was heading home, and I'm dressed as a police officer in my actual clothes, which is unusual for me. Normally, once the day is over, I'm in my civilian dress. But anyway, I was driving down the street and I saw somebody walking in the middle of the street. As they were walking in the middle of the street and I was pulling up to a light, they banged on the window of my car and they also tried to yank open the door. Luckily, the door was locked. And as he was trying to do that, he was trying to get me out of the car. So I, looking at him, said, "Oh no, now I have to make an arrest once I get off of work." And the guy, starts to running. So I said, "I'm going to follow him." As I was following him and I was looking at him going to the right side, the passenger side of my car, I heard bang, 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 bang. And I noticed that someone was shooting at me.
Wow.
Sometimes when you're looking at life, all of these are negative. Every gunshot was a negative. That was that thing that said, boom, don't pay attention to the distractions because distractions are going to come up in your life. Focus on what you're supposed to. Bang, bang, bang. And it kept going. And it ended up being 28 shots fired at me. My car has bullet holes all over it, and yes, I still have that car.
Wow.
I have not given up that car because that car helped to save my life. But when you're looking at all of these things coming at you, and I'm sitting in this car and I'm looking at people on the street, I'm praying that nobody gets shot by these bullets. And I'm looking over on the other side and cars are driving. So I got to get out of this street. I got to get out of their way without causing an accident with someone else because the street itself is also busy. And it's not like the bullets are not still coming. And I'm just getting out this street so I can make sure that nobody else gets hurt. And a friend of mine by the name of Glenn Salig, he told me, he says, "You know why you were never ever hit by any of those bullets?" And I looked at this man who lives actually in Canada. He lives in Calgary, Canada. And he says something simple. He said, "You never thought about getting hurt. At no point in time did you ever see yourself getting hurt in that situation. You focused on everything else but on yourself."
Right.
When you're looking at your life, focus on what you want, not what's going on. That distraction will stop you from making the next step. If you're ever walking down the street and your head is on the ground, why? What's in front of you is in front of you. You don't want to miss what's in front of you. You have to walk with your head up. You have to focus on that thing that you want. So I focused on that point. Even though, now here's the funny part about this. I'm driving away from this scene, headed directly to a hospital in which I have been at 1,000 times and have never, I didn't see the hospital on the way there. I
Wow.
focused on making sure that nobody was getting hurt. I turned the corner, turned another corner, and parked. And I looked for these guys who were still shooting at me. Come to find out, the witness who was watching these shots told me where everyone was. When the troops got there, we went and arrested everybody that was involved in that shooting.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And I mean, it then, kind of takes us to the point about, the topic for today, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically trying to inspire our audience on the benefits of having purpose
Oh
and
my goodness.
the benefit of having a goal, because when you have a set goal, there's certain things that it unlocks in terms of your potentials. I want you to try to speak a little bit about that, how powerful goals and purpose can be in terms of being able to achieve, things in life.
I love that. How important goals and purpose is. Why did you get up this morning? When you look at your life, when you got up this morning, you had a goal, you had a purpose, you had something to do. Whether or not you do it or not is left up to the action that you put in life. Every
Yep.
one of us, be it if it's we want to go take a walk, just to a mailbox, or we got to get something from the store. If you set out to do it, write it down. Writing things down makes it real for most of us. A lot of times we don't think it's real. We don't think that we can achieve that goal. We don't see ourselves doing something greater than we are. But if you write down that thing that's been sitting in your head, or then that pumping in your heart that makes your blood pump, when you start singing and you start writing it down, you want to be able to put a date on it.
Right.
Why put a date on it? Why not just turn around and do it? Well, I want all of you all who are sitting there listening to our voices, I want you to open up your calendar or look at a calendar and look at the days of the week. Now, most of us see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But without a deadline, we look at that day someday. Someday is actually somewhere on somebody's calendar. I've never seen someday, but we say someday this will happen for me. Someday I'll be prepared for this. Someday I'll go somewhere. Someday it's not there on your calendar. So why are you looking for that day?
Wow.
When you set that you to an event, when you write down that event, when you say, okay, June, why June? We'll say April 1st, 2023. I'm going to begin my project on this day, no matter what. Now, of course, that purpose is learning not to speak to this person who you have fear of, or learning how to speak to this person that says procrastination is a great part of me. You have to beat those by looking at what is your goal? What is that thing that you wrote down? What is your major focus? And if you can see that focus, you can feel that focus, you can get up. I love it. There was a comedian once that was talking about he wanted to work out. And he made a great comment to me. He says, I work out every day. I do sit-ups every day, every morning. I do at least one sit-up every morning. so, so when you're looking at what is it that you want, you have to turn around and say, okay, I'm going to do this a little bit more. And you build on it because your goal tells you you have to build on that thing that you want. It's your actions. It's that thing that says, I got to do it today. I mean, you look at today, when I was told last night I was going to be at this event,
Right.
and I knew I had to do this podcast. And it was like, do I do it? Do I not do it? And I looked at the people. It's like, who am I going to affect with the words I'm going to say? These
Mhm.
people have never met me, never met me. And I looked at what is my purpose? My purpose is to be able to give a message to someone, because as a child, someone gave me a message and told me I can do this. I can succeed where others have failed. All I have to do is just give it my best shot. You don't have to be the best every day, but every day be your best. And that's how I always look at life.
That's excellent, man. That's really powerful. That's really powerful.
I like that statement. Every day be your best.
Absolutely.
That's good enough.
That's really powerful.
That's
That's
it.
really good.
Yeah. I heard a guy say something yesterday about, you can't be what you can't see. And that aligns with, what you just said now about having a goal and then writing it down and
Hmm.
putting a target to that goal. There's, like you said, there's no someday on the day on the calendar, right?
That's right.
There's only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and dates, right? No,
That's
there's no
right.
someday. So putting a goal there and then, assigning a deadline to that goal. That's really powerful. That's really powerful.
Hmm.
Chief,
Yes.
well, we haven't told our guests yet, but Chief Lester Bailey has he's worked with two past United States presidents.
Yes, I have.
That is huge. That is something we should highlight in this
Hmm.
podcast. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about the experience with how you got there, how it was when you worked with these presidents? How do you see things? How were you able to cope with um, those times, that phase in your life? Like talking about being purposeful, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, here's what's funny about this, and people don't see, the connection. The question was asked of me earlier. It says, "How important are relationships?"
Yes.
Well, relationships are everything. I met these two presidents, it's separate times and different incidences, but some of you all have heard of a guy by the name of Jesse Jackson Sr., Reverend
Yes.
Jesse Jackson Sr. Well,
Yeah.
Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and I happen to have, you know, been the same members of the same church.
Oh,
so,
wow.
so this is how I met him. He was the associate pastor, assistant pastor of my particular church. Now, knowing that, I started going to a lot of places where political figures were because I was always interested in politics. I thought I was going to run for office until I learned what they actually do. but
I guess that's everywhere.
but by being the police, trust me, everyone, someone is always watching the work in what you're doing. They're trying to see your work ethic. You don't know that they're watching you, and they want to see how you're doing this. So it's me working in different tactical units and different areas of policing. I was always noticed that someone saw my work, and they're like, "Oh, he would be excellent at doing this job." So the question came from these presidents: "Would you like to work with me?" Now, you don't tell the president of the United States no. That's something that is nothing you'll ever do. You're just going to get in and you're going to begin that journey. So I began that journey, and I was actually able to go into the White House and sit in the White House and have what I always say BLD, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with these people and have different conversations. Whereas we're still good friends today, and they're out of office. There's still people, they're regular people who have just got elected to the highest office in the world. And having the experience of being able to talk with them, playing basketball with them, playing music with them, playing
Nice.
cards with them, and then turn around and going to different events. Whereas I was in Africa, and this is, through one of the presidents, I got an opportunity to sit there and talk with President Nelson Mandela, and
Wow.
and
That's
be in that
amazing.
same room. And to me,
That's amazing.
it was like, it was so surreal that you just don't know what you're going to do because of the associations that you meet with people. You just may be
Absolutely,
in the
yeah.
same room.
Mhm.
Go ahead, I didn't hear you.
No, 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 please go ahead.
We were
I
just agreeing with you.
I can tell you from my own experience, you never know where you're going to be tomorrow. You just don't. Someone may walk up to you and say, "Hey, would you like to go have dinner with a friend?" And they just don't tell you who the friend is. And then all of a sudden you walk into that room and I don't want to call it starstruck, but you're just at that moment, you're like, how in the world? So I would tell everybody, don't be surprised. I have met some wonderful people in my life. I've met people that I only thought that I would see on TV.
Wow.
And I'm no different than anybody else that's talking. No different. And I had the same expectations that you all have.
Interesting.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you obviously you're a busy man, and you have this podcast. You're at another event where you're going to speak in moments, I guess, and your life obviously seems really, really busy. So how do you juggle all of this? How do you manage your time?
You have 86,400 seconds a day to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
86,400 different seconds to do. Most of us spend more than 12 hours sitting still doing nothing. So if you want to do something, get up and do it.
Oh.
Stop just talking about it. Make every day count.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
Absolutely. That's incredible. That's incredible. And that's what kind of pushed us to where we are today. Podcast. Because this is something we've always wanted to do, and we just didn't know how. We didn't know on what platform. And along came Angel Gordon,
the great Dr. Gordon.
Yeah, and he put us on the spot, and he's fond of doing that. He put us on the
Yes.
spot. And while we were speaking, he just got out his phone and set up a tripod and said, guys, let's do a video right now. Let's do a video
Yes.
now. Yeah, right now. And that's how we kind of started, and we're here now, our first episode of making the right move, and it's a real privilege to have you on the show.
No, it's my
Share
privilege.
with us. We're really happy to have you here. I think there's some other questions coming from the rest.
Go ahead.
For me, we've been all business, and we've talked about encouraging and moving on with your passions, staying on track, being continuous, and being conscientious about what you're doing. But I would like to find out, to relax, to just have fun. When you want to unwind, what do you do? What do you do? Because you work a lot. So what do you do to just
Listen, my biggest passion is always roller skating. I've always loved roller skating.
Oh, nice.
Roller skating was my meditation.
Our daughters love it too, so
See?
they're always roller skating.
That's always room and time for skating.
Right.
I love
Something I
roller
like to
skating.
do, but I'm too scared to try.
Yeah, that's my greatest joy. That's actually been my most calming point. When things were going wrong or it's crazy, I always knew that music was part of it, and skating was that. Skating is someone's own world. Even though that you can skate with someone, but it's the one sport that you can skate by yourself or with someone and enjoy it either which way, because it's you expressing yourself. I love these statements, like when people dance and say dance like nobody's watching. That's how I do when I skate. I skate like nobody's watching.
Nice.
How often do you roller skate in a week?
Well, since I moved here, I've not found a skating rink. When I was in Chicago, it was probably only about, I think I skated Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I must miss it then. I bet you must miss it.
I miss it. I miss it from time to time because I go home and I still see my skates sitting there asking me where am I leaving them. And only a skater will actually understand when you skate, you go nowhere without your skates. If you go to a different place, you have your skates with you. Your skates. You're not trying to rent anybody's skates. You have yours. They're your friend.
Well, how do you prioritize? Because you said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day of the week, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us have busy lives and we have one thing or the other that we love to do. And speaking about time management, how are you able to skate every day and still do what you do?
I,
Like,
I
do you schedule the timing, or like how does that work?
I schedule certain things in my day, and I schedule other times in case.
Oh,
You,
okay.
because things are always going to happen, and most things that ever happen unscheduled. It just
Yeah,
Yeah.
does.
yeah.
Most things that you want to do happen unscheduled. You
Mhm.
and stop trying to make yourself the priority, but be your priority. You have things to do, but do what you want to do on your time. When you're doing it for someone else, you can give them a certain amount of time and say, hey, I'm going to do blah 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 because it interests you. Never stop looking at what self-care is, because most of the times when you're looking at purpose and plan, you're always trying to build someone else's dream and not yours. And you have to stop by and ask, what is the part of my life that I really want to do, and how much time will it actually take out? You know, like I told you, procrastination slows you down, fear slows you down, but you have to turn around and tell yourself, I'm a priority too. I just have to turn around and put myself first, and then everybody else can come next. And once you do that, you'd be surprised how you just get up in the morning. You can't wait to get up because sleep is the only thing that's in your way.
Right. That's
Right.
right.
That's really powerful. Um, I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
From my end, I don't know if the other guys here may have additional questions for you,
Yeah.
because we like to maximize the opportunity we have here today. Your attention to fully with us. My question is this: How can you tell me about three really important decisions you've made in life? Right, three decisions. Like
That
the best three decisions you've made, and why you think those decisions were the best three.
Well, those are not really, like best decisions. The first one, of course, was to believe in myself. Second was to get married, and the third was to have children. Those are all big decisions. But when you're looking at it, the decision only lasts for that time. It's what you do with the decisions that you make. So many of us are so afraid to make that good decision that we make more bad decisions. But the saying goes, if you make a decision, go for it. Find out what part of your life, that secret part of your life that's actually there. I love the three of you all. You got together and someone asked you to say, look at doing a podcast.
Right.
For you all, that may have not been the biggest decision of your life, but actually that's a decision that's changing everyone else's life.
Mhm.
Right.
Everyone else that's around you, you're changing their life because you're giving them something positive. You're giving them something that they can put their teeth in. You're giving them that one thing that you never knew about. It's like talking to a child. You walk up to a child and say, hey, what have you been thinking about? Or do you have any plans of your life? And you turn around and see somebody going in the wrong direction and you give them some help.
Right.
A friend of mine once said, and I love her for it, her name is Tamara Fair. And Tamara Fair says, to the world, you may only be one person, but to the one person, you may be the world.
Oh, absolutely.
So make the decision to do something that somebody else is watching you, and let them learn from you and come to you and say, how do you do it? Decision making is easy if you just want to sit down there and make it. It's the hard problem is making the decision to make a decision. That's silly. Go ahead. Anything else?
Yeah. Just to build on that a little bit, talking
Hmm.
about making a decision. Chief Bailey was once a banker,
Yes.
right? He worked in a bank. How easy was it when you got to that point to take a decision to switch from your banking career to become a police officer?
Well, it's funny when you really look at what it is. My decision was real good because I told you that my job my job moved. I didn't move. My job moved, but I had taken the test to become the police, and it was a job that I never thought that I would love. I never thought of anything about it, but I knew that my family enjoyed having a place to sleep and having and wanted to eat. So making that decision wasn't that difficult. It was like, here you go. What's going to happen during my career? Never thought about it. Because if you talk to me about my career and the different things that I have done, my achievements are crazy. Are really crazy because every day was just something different. And I don't pay attention to them, but someone else has saw me like, you did this, and my decision to become the police led me to become a bodyguard for two presidents, for three United States senators, and working with other people in that area. The decisions that you make, that purpose that you can pivot, that you can move, just do it. You'd be surprised why you get in that particular situation. I will always tell you, it's always been God. God has never led me wrong, and I'm going to stick with him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Great to hear.
Wow.
Anything else?
So, I know you're busy. We've taken up a good chunk of your time today. We would love to keep having you on at different times, coming in to give us some words of wisdom, to inspire us, to talk to us about your past experiences, if that's okay with you. You've been really warm and open to speaking to us. I mean, we just met you last week, and we feel like we know you so well already. And so we'd just like to say thank you very much. We really do appreciate you, Chief Bailey. And we hope that we can foster a continuous relationship with you. And also look at you as a mentor in this space, and come to you with different experiences, different stories, different hurdles that we might face, and get some of your guidance as we go along the way. So we'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. We know you have another presentation to get ready for, so we won't hold you too much. But we look forward to definitely talking to you some more.
Well, I look forward to that. And again, you all did not take up my time. My time was given to the one that showed up. Whoever shows up to hear this, that's my time. And I'll gladly give that. So I'll leave this, and one of these poems that you've heard Gordon say all the time. Follow your dreams wherever that they may lead. And don't be distracted by less worthy needs. Shelter them, nourish them, and help them to grow. Follow your dreams down deep in your heart where dreams go. Follow your dreams, pursue them with haste. Life is too precious, too fleeting to waste. Be faithful, be loyal, and all your life through. May the dreams that you follow continue to come true, and I look forward to working with you all throughout our life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. All right, so I'm going to do like they always do. Go to the next thing and enjoy life.
Enjoy.
Y'all have fun. I'm just running to the stage.
Yes.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Chief.
Bye-bye.